Bordered by the Atlantic Ocean to the north and the Caribbean Sea to the south, the Virgin Islands contain nearly 200 miles of coastline. Much like other island ecosystems, the shores of the Virgin Islands support a variety of habitats that are vital to all its inhabitants. These homes serve as the border between land and sea and are subjected to some of the strongest forces nature has to offer. To thrive in this rapidly changing environment is challenging. The species that live here possess unique adaptations to survive. This is the story about life on the edge, here in the Borderlands. Perhaps the most well-known and frequented of the coastal habitats, sandy beaches serve as ideal gathering spaces for large numbers of humans and wildlife. The calm waters provide an ideal environment for seagrass meadows to thrive, which support an abundance of marine species. This also extends beyond the sandy dunes. Where the vegetation is lush, some of the most recognized plant and animal species known in the VI can be found. Arguably the most popular member of the palm tree family, coconut palms are known the world over for their iconic fruit. The edible sea grape, deeply rooted in VI culture, is a common sight along sandy coastlines. An invasive species, the maho tree can grow up to 40 feet tall and can be recognized by their heart-shaped leaves. They produce a beautiful flower before bearing fruit, which, when ripe, turns a dark brown before dropping to the beach below. The fruit of the maho tree never goes to waste. Waiting on the forest floor are some very striking insects. Cotton stainers, or love bugs, readily consume the fallen maho fruit. Their nickname comes from their interesting mating habits, in which they form clusters containing dozens of individuals. During these end-to-end mating rituals, males and females can remain joined for several days at a time. Love bugs are not the only scavengers prowling the beachfront. Also known as the Caribbean hermit crab, soldier crabs begin life in the sea but adapt to land thanks to modified gills that allow them to breathe air. These scavengers can be found in small to large groups and provide a vital cleanup service. The rear of their body is soft. Predation and exposure to the harsh sun pose a significant risk. To protect themselves, they carry a shell. While they will select a shell opportunistically, most prefer that of the top shell sea snail, also known locally as whelks. Their large claw fits perfectly into the opening, making themselves an impenetrable challenge for would-be predators, one that is seldom worth the effort. There is, however, another crab here that lives a more active lifestyle. Much like soldier crabs, Atlantic ghost crabs are adapted to life above the waves. They also have gills that allow them to breathe air. These sand-colored crabs spend their time foraging along the shoreline for smaller invertebrates and debris. It is during these moments that they can be heard communicating with one another through a series of tapping and bubbling sounds that they make with their claws and legs. Being the fastest running crab on the planet, speed is their best defense. When threatened, they use their long legs to dash to their sand burrows, which can be up to 4 feet deep. While they are fast, the ghost crabs must be careful not to stray from their dens. On these beaches, predators are never far. Laughing gulls. A common sight during the summer months, these migratory birds are easily distinguished by their dark heads, webbed feet, and calls that sound like high-pitched laughter. Largely opportunistic, these seagulls can be found across a wide array of shoreline habitats, taking advantage of whatever food source is available. Despite their small size and comedic personalities, laughing gulls are capable predators, snatching fish on the wing or patrolling the shores for unsuspecting crustaceans. They can sometimes be seen landing on the backs and heads of other seabirds in an attempt to steal fish. In stark contrast to the calm waters lining the sandy beaches of the Virgin Islands, the rocky coast is constantly bombarded by the elements. Survival in this environment is difficult, but the action of the waves attract a variety of highly specialized creatures. Barnacles, the only crustaceans in the world that live the entirety of their lives in the same spot. Beautifully patterned nerite snails constantly search for algae to graze on. The ancient fuzzy chitin, whose flat bodies allow them to create a vacuum-like seal on rocky surfaces. Large schools of fish, such as silversides, are also plentiful here. However, such an abundance of food attracts large predators, like the brown pelican. Weighing up to 11 pounds with a wingspan of 4 to 6 feet, the brown pelican is the heavyweight of the rocky shoreline birds. They can usually be identified by their dark gray and brown feathers, S-curved necks, long bills, and prominent throat pouches. But perhaps their most notable feature is their interesting fishing technique, plunge diving. These birds are capable of spotting fish from above, calculating their position beneath the surface, and catching them with amazing accuracy. During these dives, they can reach speeds of up to 40 miles per hour, and the impact can stun fish as much as 6 feet beneath the surface. In fact, when food is plentiful, birds of all shapes and sizes flock to these jagged shores to take their share. The brown booby, another plunge diver, can often be seen with pelicans diving for fish just off the coast. Despite their dominance of this ecosystem, birds are not the only, or even the most abundant, form of life connected to these dynamic coasts. Anchored to the boulders and cliffs pummeled by the sea, marine algae thrives. Neither plants nor animals, algae are an important food source for many invertebrates. Sometimes known as Sally Lightfoot crabs, thin-shelled rock crabs are coastal crustaceans that live within the tight crevices dotting the rocky coasts. Rock crabs are designed for life in the tidal zone. They thrive both in and out of the water and are able to cling to a myriad of surfaces. Being the only crustaceans known to possess the ability to jump, rock crabs can sometimes be seen hopping along the coast in search of the best algae patches. However, life in the shallows makes them easily spotted by a variety of predators. The green heron is one of the world's few tool-using bird species. It often creates fishing lures with items like bread crusts, sticks, and other debris, dropping them on the surface to attract fish. Another shoreline stalker, the yellow-crowned night heron, forages at all hours of the day and night, stalking crustaceans in shallow wetlands and wet fields. Their diet leans heavily on crabs and crayfish, which they catch with a lunge and shake apart, or swallow whole. Truly, all habitats that exist within the Borderlands are shaped by the push and pull of water. None are as tied to the rise and fall of the tides as the intertidal zone. Life here must contend with the never-ending reshaping of their home. Nothing here is constant, and the creatures found in these tidal pools have evolved remarkable behaviors that allow them to flourish in a world on the edge. The speck-claw decorator crab prefers a diet of algae that grows in abundance throughout their intertidal home. Usually nocturnal, they are a desired prey for many coastal hunters. Because of this, the decorators have devised a clever way to hide in plain sight. By tearing off pieces of algae and anemones, they become virtually invisible to the naked eye. Their carapace is covered in curved Velcro-like hairs called setae. These hairs are perfect for securing whatever the crab chooses. Emerald crabs, known for their vibrant green color, also feed on algae. Their scoop-like claws allow them to harvest algae by scraping rocky surfaces inaccessible to other crabs. Unlike the decorators, they don't need intricate disguises to hide from threats. Thanks to their flat bodies, these crabs can hide in narrow openings in rocks and shallow coral. The ability to avoid predation is vital for life amongst the tides. Danger lurks both above and below the water's surface. Chain morays specialize in hunting crustaceans. Despite their poor eyesight they have an impressive sense of smell. Their teeth are short and blunt, which are the perfect shape for breaking through crab shells. Some inhabitants that live in these shallow pools have found other unassuming ways to defend themselves against threats. The nearly 200 spiral tentacles of the corkscrew anemone are covered in microscopic stinging cells called cnidocytes, which both stun prey and repel predators. The mat zoanthid finds protection by forming tightly packed colonies, sometimes composed of hundreds of individual polyps that form thick, dense mats attached to the sea floor. One of the more unusual defense tactics is performed by the humble sea cucumber. A relative of sea urchins and sea stars, these scavengers have dozens of tube feet that they use to navigate their environment. When threatened, sea cucumbers can eject their internal organs to confuse attackers. This allows the cucumber to escape and even regrow its lost organs. Not to be outdone, the wedge sea hare employ several tactics to ensure their survival. They are usually camouflaged and can be found scouring rocky, sandy, or muddy surfaces for brown and green algae. When stressed, these mollusks release a dark ink similar in appearance to that of the octopus. The borderlands of the Virgin Islands are a sanctuary for life of all kinds above and below the waves. That said, the ever-changing nature of these diverse shores and the impact of unsustainable human activity have made the future of this habitat even more uncertain. There is, however, one ecosystem that provides mankind with some of the most critical services of all the coastal habitats. Unfortunately, these are also the most threatened. The mangrove forests lining the shores support both the ecology and economy of these islands. Join us next time where we explore these underappreciated forests and the delicate network of life that they support. If you would like to learn more about our mission and support our work, please log on to www.expeditioneden.org to find out more. Thank you.